What is up, guys? Wraec is here with a new video, and today we review TBB Therapist of Blood Betty, which is our newest hero, newest addition to Transcendence hero to this game. And well, she is very insane. She's absolutely insane in my opinion. One of the strongest hero we have seen in recent times. Not doing the best work there. There it is. Okay, full CC of the enemy team. I just wanted to complain. Doing very well actually. I think she is one of the strongest CC heroes we have ever seen. Looking at her skills, you wouldn't think so. Like, I looked at those for the first time and thought like, okay, yeah, well, that will be not very interesting, but okay, we can make some content, I guess. And then later on, I noticed, well, she is an absolute monster. She's an absolute monster, and some of her skills are really insane. Not only her CC that you just saw there, with the chains around the enemy, that is actually blood binding twine. We can take a look at that. That is her special CC. It's a transcendence form of twine. We've seen that in the past actually, that there were transcendence forms of CC effects, like on Vesa with her silence, or then we had Starving Jara with Petrify Rocklock and Freeze Cold Chill. And here we have Bloodbinding Twine. You can see the description here. Targets with Bloodbinding Twine are unable to release their basic attacks, extra attacks, or counter attacks. At the end of each round, the inflictor bleeds the target, dealing 800% of attack damage for 2 rounds. So it's basically a CC version of a Transcendence version of Twine that just has the trait of dealing a little bit extra damage in the form of a bleed dot. So that is very nice indeed. The description here is wrong. It actually also blocks active skills, so that is something that DH maybe should add. I have no idea what they mean by extra attacks. I can only assume that might be a translation error, though then again, on the base description of Twine on Oberon, it is also featured that they have extra attacks. So, that being said, what makes her special? Well, what makes her special is that she can do 2 active skills in a single turn, which we have never seen before and is absolutely insane. The way she triggers them makes her one of the strongest heroes in the game, and she's basically able to outspeed any enemy, which sounds insane, given that one of the major difficulty spikes in PvE content comes from you no longer being able to outspeed the enemies. That is what makes it really hard, because you can't inflict CC on them. They will attack you, and even in PvP, high tier copies or something might outspeed you and give you a hard time. She doesn't struggle with that. She can outspeed all of them. And that's insane. Even if your enemy has 6,000 speed, she can outspeed. And that is her main ability. That is what makes her great. Beyond that, we have a great kit combined of damage over time and CC effects with CC support and everything, which means she has pretty good synergy with other CC heroes. In my opinion, she is better than Starving Jara. That is something I can say in advance. But using both together is even greater. And I think she will become one of those heroes that you just want to have in your team if you do something like Void Campaign. There are certain stages that you can't beat in Void Campaign. For example, Valkyr stages, well, those will still kill you, but everything that can be CC'd, and I remember difficult stages in there, like for example 461 where I was stuck for months, stuff like this, you can clear that easily because you can CC it on turn 2 before they can get their active skills off, and this will spare you so much damage. This will make it so much easier to go through this, so you only have to really survive turn 1. If you can do that, you are good. You are good. Then you can go for double CC with Starving Jara and you really won't have a hard time. And that is all being made possible by TBB. And I even think she's so strong that we might see the comeback of CC in PvP. So, going over her skills, let's start with the active skill. We will go over the most important skills there. And I will also talk about the sublimation order that you should go for. First of all, active skill. Deals 1400% of attack damage to backline enemies, afterwards releases chemotherapy on survived enemies in order from highest to lowest based on their attack. If chemotherapy is repeatedly released in the duration of an active skill, its effect changes gradually. So, we first of all deal 1400% of attack damage, that is not a huge amount, and then we release chemotherapy and basically from highest attack to lowest attack. And first of all, I thought that this would be only targeting the back row, because it says backline enemies on the first sentence, but Chemotherapy doesn't care about that. It actually just goes from highest to lowest attack. And the effect changes gradually. You can see that here, it deals 1600% of attack damage to the target, reduced by 100% for each repeated release. So this damage gets lower. It's 1600% for the highest attack enemy, then second highest is 1500%, 1400, and so on. And then we have the next effect is inflicts damage equal to 12% of their max HP, and this increases for each repeated release. So it's 12% for highest attack, 14% for second highest, and so on. And then we have the CC effect, which in my opinion is the most important one. We have with a 100% chance to inflict Blood-Binding Twine on the target for 2 rounds, and this reduces the chance by 15% for each repeated release. So it's 100%, 85%, 70%, and there it is really important to have a little bit of control precision, because you want to lift those numbers a bit up. 100% you don't need control precision, 85% is also still decent, but once you get to like 70%, 65%, or even below 50, some control precision goes a long way, and you can get that through Receptor, or a nice B tier copy or B minus copy or above with control precision, CI offset, something like that. That goes a long way and helps you a lot here. A pretty strong active skill because it has huge capabilities of inflicting CC. The damage in the form of mostly damage over time, I think it's like, she does some damage here, but the damage over time effects that she deals feel just more massive. That come from the Blood-Binding Twine itself. We will go over the Sublimation order now, I think. Yeah, no. Okay, let's do it now. Increases precision by 18%, and then we have Chemotherapy deals extra damage equal to 20% of the target's max HP to Twine targets, and we have additionally reduces backline enemies' control immunity by 10% for 3 rounds, which is really, yeah, that's the important part, I guess. If you want to CC, this is the good part, because this sticks for 3 rounds, which is very nice. And so you can get multiple actives off and reduce the control immunity by quite a significant amount. Do you need that? Mechanically, those 3 are not required. I would get the main one. This is pretty nice, like only the main node. And later on, I think you can go for those. I personally will go for those now. I maxed the P2, I maxed the P3, I got this node. The next thing I do will get the rest of those. And I won't get the basic skill, well, at least not now, and probably only if I want a Destiny transitioner, unless before then doesn't really make much sense. Basic skill is really not that great. So, going beyond that, we have the basic skill, as I said, changes basic attack to deals 860% of attack damage to frontline enemies, reduces their control immunity by 6% for 2 rounds, bleeds them, dealing 640% of attack damage for 4 rounds. Pretty weak, pretty insignificant. That is not really core part of this hero. All damage dealt by Blood-Lodging Ritual increased by 12%. This is only the basic, so it doesn't increase any other skill, only the basic. It's decent, but not that significant. That's a nice damage upgrade. And then we have additionally restores self HP equal to 1200% of attack. Is whenever she does the basic skill, of course. So this is decent. She won't do a lot of basic skills, so, well, like, I wouldn't go for the basic sublimation just to get this. Really, you only get the basic sublimations on her if you want to Destiny transition her and are required to do it. And then we have this Superfluous Oblation. When self has more than 100 energy, triggers Scarlet Therapy without consuming any energy, dealing damage equal to 60% of its original damage, the effect of which can be triggered up to 1 time each round. Triggered Scarlet Therapy is considered as a passive skill, and its skill level is the same as Superfluous Oblation. At the beginning of each battle, or when self is in the battle as substitute, Superfluous Oblation cannot be triggered. So, first of all, this skill description is wrong. It is not when self has more than 100 energy. It is when self has 100 or more than or more energy. So it also triggers when you have 100 energy. So that is something to know. It actually makes a difference, because that means that if she is, let's say she's the fastest hero on the battlefield, you equip her with a Receptor, the battle starts, she has 50 energy, of course, from the start. She then does a basic attack. This gives her 50 energy. And with that basic attack, she basically reaches 100 energy, and this passive will trigger. And what does this passive trigger? Well, this passive triggers Scarlet Therapy. Scarlet Therapy is her active skill. So this passive skill allows her to trigger her active skill at different points in the round whenever she has 100 energy or more. What does that mean? Well, we just saw the one scenario, or heard the one scenario, where she has a Receptor, does a basic attack, reaches 100 energy that way, her active skill triggers. There are two other scenarios. The second other scenario is she has 100 energy and gets hit. We can actually check that scenario out. I've prepared that. Let's go for a little fight against Mytham because he has a wonderful LFA. Oh, he's hiding. There he is. He has a wonderful LFA. I put this team up. There is an energy artifact on this TBB, so she has 100 energy. You will see that her active doesn't, her passive skill doesn't trigger her active skill at the beginning of the fight. What instead happens is once she gets hit, her active skill will trigger. And that is, of course, because she gets 10 or 20 energy when she's hit. We can see it here. She got hit. Her passive skill triggers, and the entire enemy team gets CC'd. And then she does another active skill. So she did two active skills on turn 1. The first one, of course, when she gets hit, and she CC'd the entire enemy team. And then another one, just because it was her time to attack. So that is pretty nice. The last one we actually already saw. You can scroll back to the first fight. Because what happens is, we saw the scenario, we have 100 energy at the beginning of the fight. And that scenario is, well, her passive skill doesn't trigger. And the reason for that is actually at the beginning of each battle, or when Self is in the battle, a substitute is excluded. So it's not allowed that it triggers right at the beginning of the fight. It's another story on turn 2, and that is the part that makes her insane. If we have 100 energy, so end turn 1 with 100 energy by, for example, having a Receptor on her or a Crown or something and letting her do a basic attack, and only triggering her active through this passive skill, then we will begin turn 2 with at least 100 energy. And at the beginning of turn 2, this passive will check how much energy she has. And if she has 100 or more energy at the beginning of turn 2, this passive will instantly trigger. So it will instantly trigger at the beginning of the turn, and she will do an active skill that doesn't consume any energy and counts as a passive skill. So what this actually ends up doing is this CCs the whole enemy team. Or has a chance to CC the whole enemy team. And doesn't consume any energy. It is the fastest active skill in the game because it has no speed requirement. If she has 0 speed, this will still outspeed all of the enemies. And that is insane. And this makes all the stages that in PvE way easier because you can finally outspeed enemies. And it makes her in PvP so strong because you can finally outspeed enemies. She will be fast, she will outspeed, and that is absolutely massive. And honestly has a big probability of bringing CC back. This passive, you definitely want to Sublime. Then we have HP, 8%, attack 6% standard stuff. After triggering Scarlet Therapy, increases self-control precision by 3% for 2 rounds. 3% is not that much, but we take it. We trigger 2 times a round, so it's not that bad. After triggering Scarlet Therapy, additionally increases self-energy by 30 when releasing active skill the next time. We can trigger Scarlet Therapy 2 times a round, or we can trigger it 1 time and then we do an active skill, so we can get some extra energy there. This is nice. This is all nice stuff, I would say, so I would recommend you get it. And then we actually have the last passive skill, which is our bread and butter, our energy regeneration actually. So, increases self all damage reduction by 8% for 2 rounds and restores self 20 energy for every 1 twined enemy. So every time basically we twine an enemy, we get 8% all damage reduction and 20 energy, meaning when we do an active skill, we need to twine 5 enemies to get back to 100 energy. If we have that passive skill, that number is actually a bit lower because we gain 30 energy anyway. With an active skill, which twines, and at the end of each round deals damage equal to 40% of the target's lost HP to each twined enemy. Often enemies don't really have lost HP, so it doesn't deal that much damage. Additionally, reduces the rest of enemies' control immunity by 5%, which means non-twined enemies. So yeah, well, the base version of this passive, we really care mostly about the all damage reduction and the 20 energy. Those are the important parts. Then we have HP attack above, and then we have for every 1 twined enemy, self increases control precision by 2% for 2 rounds, which we definitely take. which we definitely take. Like that's pretty nice to have more control precision from that. And at the end of each round, it additionally reduces twined enemy energy by 20, and this synergizes super well with her core. Like, she gains a whole new branch of energy reduction with that, and some very nice synergy with LFA actually, because here we have energy reduction for twined enemies, and if we check out the core effect, when Self releases Scarlet Therapy or triggers Scarlet Therapy, which obviously refers to her passive 2 triggering Scarlet Therapy. We have the normal Scarlet Therapy, so when she does an active skill or her active skill gets triggered, deals 300% of attack damage to all blood-binding twined enemies, not that insane, and reduces their energy by 10, with a 50% chance to reduce 10 more energy, which is nice, so we get a good amount of energy reduction here. At Core Liberation 8, that actually becomes 30 with a 50% chance to reduce 20 more energy, so up to 50% energy that we reduce here from twined enemies. And then we have deals 150% of attack damage to the rest of enemies with a 50% chance to bloodbinding twine them for 2 rounds. The strong part here is for one that we can reduce the energy of enemies quite a lot, because we have, like, if we go for Core Liberation 8, we have a guaranteed 30 that we reduce twined enemies, and then we have 50% chance for another 20, and we have this. At the end of each round, addition reduces twined enemy energy by 20, so we can reduce their energy by up to 70, effectively completely draining their energy. Does of course not work with bosses because, well, they can't be twined. They are bosses, they are CC immune after all. The other nice part about this core is we have this chance to twine enemies that are not twined, and you can see that in fights pretty well. Actually, we can probably fight Mytham again for that. Should be still pretty below here, so let's see that. We can do the same test again, and you can see it. There is this first hit that she does, and then there basically comes another one right after, so we skip that now. That sucks a little bit. Is the core even active? Or did I forget that? We might have to check that out, guys. I think it's not. Or is it? Let's see. Okay, we get the hit there. Then there comes the CC. Oh, we got full CC. Well, okay. That's also nice. Yeah, the core was active. And it makes it so much better. Like, I really felt that it was so much better because you often got those full CCs with her. And it felt a little bit better than the Starving Jara core, because if the teams I built with her really weren't relying on energy feed very much, and just getting this good CC and a lot of twine really helps her perform a lot better. So she has a very great core, actually. Not really super essential core unless you want to go for that maximum CC, but it is a very nice core. I personally got a 2-star core. We tested at a Core Liberation 7 and it works pretty well. So that being said, we now looked over all of this. I have to say, even if you can't sublime her, a lot of this will just work. It's not like we have those Mockman style sublimations here that just tell you, well, basically if you get the sublimations, this hero works. If you don't get them, then forget them and use another hero. We don't have that here. Those skills pretty much work the way they're intended. It's not like there is this huge node that enables the skill to do like 50-60% more damage. All of those skills are mechanically alright and they are working, and you can just add some stuff on those, and I recommend you at least get like this energy drain. You should get that, and then the energy feed here. Those are pretty nice, and control precision buffs that we get here, those are nice. I would go for those passives here pretty early, and then you can get the active skill, and well, just don't care about the basic skill. And get the core is nice. And yeah, for the Destiny transition, because we got to talk about that now as well. My god, those reviews get long, but what can we do? When Self has 12 layers of transition power, consumes 12 layers of them to deal 1600% of attack damage to all backline enemies. There is 36% chance to bloodbinding twine the targets for 2 rounds. Not that impressive, but we get 1600% of attack damage. We have the wonderful when Self has 12 layers requirement without any additional stuff, so not like it only triggers on basic skills or something. So that's pretty decent. We can do active skills the entire time, which I recommend you should go for. Go for active skill for her, and then we will have some additional twine here, which is good. Not necessary at all, though. We have some debuffs here. Yeah, some prac reduction is pretty nice. We'll probably go for the damage. It's not very impressive what she has here. Reduce target's control immunity by 10% for 2 rounds. Not really that nice. I would either go for the target's damage reduction, because I think that's quite fancy. 20% is also quite a lot. Or for the target's speed, though 20 speed. I'm not sure this will make much of a difference, but if you got many Destiny Transition heroes, it might. Then we go have this. Additional use frontline enemies energy by 20. 1600% attack damage, or we can use a little bit of self-feed. We don't really need that, but we can take it. Like either you go for the energy drain, I think, or the self-feed. And here I would just go for the speed. Its control precision 8% is nice, but I would just go for 100 speed because that's pretty decent. And the last one, when Seth has 12 layers of transition power, consumes 12 layers of them to deal 1600% attack damage to all backline enemies and inflicts damage equal to 20% of the target's current HP. There's a 36% chance of blood binding Twine the targets for 2 rounds. I have to say, I don't think her Destiny transition skill is very nice. Like, the extra effects are probably more relevant than the main effect itself. Like, you rather go for those than for the main skills. Yeah, like not really. I wouldn't prioritize that at all. It's not really anything that you need, other than maybe if you want to have the divine power, it's decent. But other than that, let's check out the last part, which sucks the most, which are tenants. Tenant-wise, she got, I don't know. It's hard to find words for that. She is tenant for BQA and PDE. We can check those out in a second. PDE, well, versus LFA. Yeah, you can use her as PDE tenant. She will do well. She's a mage. It's all right. And BQA, yeah, she shares the slot with SQH. I don't know if you use BQA, maybe if SQH and use her as a homeowner. Well, then it will be decent. It's not like she's any addition to any hero that we like would have loved to see that. Like, for example, maybe for MFG or maybe for DGN on the last slot there, that would have been nice. First slot, we definitely go for base Betty, because G-Star is an assassin. We don't really need that. Obviously, we go for Ezreal, and this is horrible. Like, they used base Ezreal again. Ezreal is now tenant for 7 Transcendence Hero. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Transcendence Heroes. And horrible tenant, but the only one that we have. Horrible. Horrible. I can't tell it enough. It's like super red. Once there is another one, it's not to Silago, definitely switch. If there is like a mage or something that they add to slot 3, definitely switch. We have BQA and that's not DG, and Natalia, is it? There, so, well, BQA is probably also not that great. But yeah, it ends up with her having like pretty bad tenants, I feel. Don't really get a lot there. I've never built up BQA though, so that's part of that problem. Never played her with high attack. Though she's decent still with lower attack. That being said, I think we've talked about everything now. I personally like to use her in a CC team. We tested this CC team a while on the stream. I can show it here. That's basically it. Use 3 elusive mirrors. We have Starwing Jara in there. We have TBB in there. We have LFA in there. We use the synergy between LFA and TBB for double energy drain. Then we have like 2 big CC heroes there with Starwing Jara and TBB doing active skills every time. And TBB obviously outspeeding the enemies. We go for nearly full outspeed and use the heal strats for SQH with effect of being healed and this passive. Yeah, this passive 2 stuff when it's triggered additionally restores HP for all Queen's Guard by 20% of self HP restoration. Use that to restore HP to our heroes, which works pretty well. It's a little bit squishy, this team. Can die to early burst, but it works pretty well. Can crush a few people. We saw that on stream as well. And TBB replaced Wraec in that team, and that works. That works. We have reliable enough CC that we can get through those rounds where DTV gets weakness disclosure, the enemy DTV, and we can get through that and we can survive because, well, he can't attack, and then we can get our damage off, which is quite nice. We saw the team in a fight earlier on. Well, what can I say? Some people ask me to rate her out of 10. I give her a 9. I give her a 9. Like, she is really insane. She's not the first carry hero type, but she can do so much stuff. Like, we can try one more thing. Let's go to 152, Void Corruption, which is not a thing that works reliably. I mean, we can try Shadow, but Shadow will probably destroy us. Let's go. Let's go, I don't care. We do the PvP CC team. And we won that, which was not planned that I do it like this. I didn't want to skip. But we won. We lost 3 heroes there. Yeah, okay, squishy team. Ooh, light. Light has marks. Marks are evil. We can go for this. Try that. First round is like the bad round. First round is the round where we really suffer because, as I said, from turn 2 on we outspeed. Which is not turn 1. We don't really have a lot of mechanics that help us here. Yeah, and TBP just died there because she got hit. And now we are in the realm of CC. You can use a high energy TBB just as a trap for the enemy. And that actually works. Like, this will be a mechanic that I will probably use now for the later fights. Because if you know which of those enemies attacks first, you can just put TBB in that slot, give her like an energy artifact, have enough CI offset and everything on her, and she will just CC the enemies. But you could already see, like, while she died, yeah, and that was obviously not planned, she also CC'd the enemies and kept them from further attacking, so it was valuable in that sense. But if you reposition TBB and put her with an energy artifact at the right place, she can really do a whole lot of stuff. So, that being said, I want to end this video. Have you built TBB already? If you did, leave a comment below and tell me what you think about her. Other than that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And with that, I wish you guys a great day. We'll see us in the next one.